Okay, so let's create a parent right now. Let's create empty, and let's call this boulder parent. We need to create a script, another nice utility script. Let's create a C# script. Let's call this roll object. Okay. So we basically just want 3 floats. We'll make them public so we can change them on different things. We'll say rotate x. Let's give it a default value of 0.0f. Let's copy this. Do one for y and z. Okay. Let's remove the start function. You just need an update. We'll say transform.rotate in the capital. It's a function. So we can basically just, I think, pass in a vector 3 here. Whoops, needs to be commas. Yeah, okay. So all we need to say is rotate, transform.rotate x, y, and z. Okay. Roll object. Okay, so let's go to our boulder parent. Let's unpack this now. Let's drag in our boulder. Okay, so by spinning this on its y, it should just rotate that around. So let's go roll object. So instead of just giving it a number, I'm actually going to play the game and just drag this value up a touch and see if it starts to roll. There we go. So we want it to go whichever way, doesn't really matter. Maybe that's fast enough. We'll give it its own little sound effect as well. Just a looping, grinding sound probably. And it'll be louder and louder as we get closer to it. Okay, so negative 0.3 probably worked for me. All right, let's do the same thing with our boulder. Let's drag this onto this object. You can also go add component if you're ever having trouble with the way this is laid out. Sometimes it is brutal. So this one needs to roll on its x axis. Its local x. So that's what I want to see. Is it going to spin on the world x or its local x? So if I roll this up, give this a decent speed, 2.5. Okay, and if I come to the boulder parent, then I increase this a little bit. Yeah, we're getting the right effect. That's exactly what we want. Cool. So just by this little script, it's like we created a really, really fluent animation. So that's cool. So we're going to do that with a few things now. Let's do 2 on this x. And I'm going to do 1 here. Let's play, see how that looks. Okay, 1 is very fast. Let's try 0.4. Good. I think that'll work out. Yeah, I think that's better. Let's do that. 0.3. Remember, you don't your settings won't save in play mode. Alrighty. So let's make these revolve as well. So these need to spin on their own y-axis. Let's go add component. Roll object. They need to spin on their y, so let's just give them a default value of 1. The same thing to this guy. And the same thing to this guy. Okay, just make sure we got all the circles there. Cool. Alright, let's try that out. Let's bring our game back. Way too fast. I am going to puke. Okay, sorry. Way too fast. That was dizzying. Let's change all of them. So obviously the middle one has to be going the other way. So I think they're going the wrong way initially. So let's change this to negative 0.2. And I'll go to the middle circle and get rid of the negative. Let's see if we're going the right way. Should be much more bearable. There we go. That's cooler. Okay. So what do we want to happen? As you can see right now, nothing's going to happen if the player stands on something that's coded to move. What we need to happen is we need to parent our player to this revolving platform. We need to just parent him to it, and pretty much anything else that he drops on here too. If you notice, we can actually run over here to the crates, and I can push one of these over there. Right? Pretty fun. So if I do that, I want that to start spinning around and going. Another thing I want, actually, is this boulder to crush one of these or blow them up if it hits it. That's frightening. Let's get the log going. So we can actually just make some of these. So if this is going to be our game world now, we should probably go File, Save As. Let's go into Scenes and save this as a new scene. So I'm just going to save this as game level. Okay, save. So now it's going to reload again, I think. So I've changed my scene to this game level. So your sample scene now is basically a backup of this, or maybe maybe you consider it like a test scene. It's usually what I do. So you double click your game level and you'll get exactly what you just saved. So we want to make sure we're in this one now. So this is going to be it. This is going to be the game. So there's probably a few things we want to do. Let's get rid of all these crates. Let's just delete all of these. All of everything. Everything except the player. Where are you? Chicken character. Crate, coin, heart, TNT. Okay, delete. Just make sure you have everything saved on your prefabs. Okay, cool, and very clean. So now we'll create a parent. Let's create a parent right in the middle of our game world. Let's create empty. Let's call this revolving logs. Okay, let's just drag this log in. You know what? Sorry, let's make sure this is set to 1 as well. Any parent object should be set to 1. Okay. So now by spinning this, it'll go all the way around. Okay. So in my case, I only have 1 row. I'm not going to have 2 rows. If you do have 1 row, like me, you can't be making these different speeds, right? Because they'll bump into each other and go through each other, and that'll just be weird. You could probably create some fun thing with physics, but what I'm going to do is just have them all spinning at the same speed. So we'll have like just some spacing in between them. But if you had 2 layers, you could make each layer spin different speeds. That would be cool. Just duplicate this as many times as you like. Change the rotation maybe. I'll do that. Okay, so that's cool with me. Now you can just select every one of these. Actually, sorry. No, we don't want to select those. We'll just select the revolving logs. Yeah. Add roll object script. Let's give this maybe a default value of 0.18 on the Y. Let's try this out. That should rotate all of those now. We can try and get onto 1. So it's a little bit different speed than this here. That's what I wanted. Are we moving already? No, we're not moving. I missed it. Perfect. Okay. So this could probably get pretty difficult. Ooh. So we also need to actually create the triggers so that it parents us to our platform. So maybe we should do that right now. Let's go into scripts, create, C# script. Let's call this platform parent, or platform trigger, platform trigger. Let's go void on trigger enter. Well, let's say, whoops, caps. Let's say on collision enter. Okay, that'll be easier. Now what do we need to do? Check for tags. So let's go to our tags and see what kind of tags we're using. Let's go to our chicken character. We're using player tag. Okay, so we'll check that for sure. What about our props? Let's go into prefabs. Okay, here's what we'll do. We'll get the player and we'll get the props. Any items will actually fall. You'll have to try and catch them, just for fun. So you can add it to all of them if you want, but what I'm going to do is just go to add tag, and I'm going to add a tag for prop. Since we have the layer for physics, we'll add the tag for prop to do things as well. Okay, so come back to each of these full crates and make sure your tag is prop as well. Okay, we can call things in different ways, and this is going to make it a little bit easier. All right, it took a second to figure this out. So we're going to need a few things. But first, let's add this. So we want to use on trigger enter. This worked a lot better than on collision enter for me. Okay, so we want to go to our player. we do want to add a box collider. So basically use this little transform button here. You can use your size toggles, but just place this somewhere around his feet and a little bit in the ground. Check his trigger. Yeah, so basically this is going to check if we're on a platform or something that needs to carry us. And if it does, then it'll parent us to the proper object and rotate us accordingly. So we want to do that. We want to add a rigid body, and we want to come down to make it is kinematic. Don't use gravity. We want to interpolate, and choose the interpolate option right here. Okay, you can go to continuous speculative. It'll just make it register a little bit better. On the inner circles here. Add the roll object. I think I went, yeah, 0.2. So whatever direction you want them to spin, negative or positive, 0.2. And then add the platform trigger, this new script right here. Yeah, the player's tagged already, so the keep should work. And we'll do a similar thing with the crates. So for now, that should actually work out. By checking interpolate, you'll fix any like jitter you'll get from your camera. Based on the method, I guess, that it updates and whatnot. So yeah, make sure you check interpolate if you have any jittering or flashing with your camera. Okay, and that should actually work. So we're now attached to it and spinning around. I'm going to the next one. We're now going this way. Okay, we don't have anything on the logs yet. I want to actually create a prefab out of those. I don't like the way we did that, so let's do that after our crates. So let's go to the crates first. So double click this guy. Let's copy this box collider, copy component, add component, box collider. Let's paste this and just slightly increase it on each axis, because the physics won't allow it to register otherwise. It'll kind of bounce back and forth between triggering and not triggering. So just increase that a tiny bit, make that a trigger, add a new tag, and use prop on these three here. So these are the only things that I want to actually be carried along with me on the platform. So you can change your drops if you want, your items. But for me, I'm just going to do this. So copy the box collider. Should remember the transform of the box collider as well. So that's fine. I can actually probably duplicate this one next. Or copy, sorry. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll go is trigger, copy component. Or TNT, add box collider, paste component values. There we go. So just make sure everything's set to prop. Okay, now if we drag each one of them out, we should be able to push these onto those revolving arrow platforms, and they'll spin with them. All right, let's get rid of this. Go away. Okay, so that should be fine. You might need to add a rigid body as well. Oh, sorry, they're already on there. You might want to check interpolate on the rigid bodies. Or maybe because it's got nothing to do with their camera, maybe they're totally fine. Looks good. Oop. Cool. Okay, so we can do stuff with that.